everybody, and welcome to this special explanation video for the campaign trail election mechanism. It's a little complicated and probably a little overcomplicated, but this is what I have developed for a making of a Dungeons and Dragons general election. So I tried to keep it based as much on dice rolls as possible to stay in the theme, but still, give it enough variability and malleability for the adventure to have an effect. So basically, whoever gets the most votes wins, in the most basic sense. The votes are done by dice roll, but it's a little complicated. There are a total of 147 seats in the Parliament, and in order to win the seat, you have to roll the highest number, basically. So here we've got constituency number 1. And you'll see that there is a national polling bonus, there is a local polling bonus, and then there is what I would deem, what I call election turnout. Election turnout is the roll of two 20-sided dice, and every party gets to roll their two d20s. Then there is the local bonus, and then there is the national bonus. The national bonus applies to every single constituency all the way down. Local polling is different for every single constituency. Now, to work out the national polling, I just rolled some d20s. I rolled two d20s and just applied the number to each of the parties. It turned out that the total was 40 between them, and then gave them a percentage based on that. So I will get back to this because the national polling changes between election cycles going forward. But across the board, each party gets their national polling bonus. So the Unicorn Party here have 16, Fable 14, True Neutral 7, Gunge 3. In this first election cycle I did, in the year 420, nice, there were 4 parties running. And as you can see, it turned into a Unicorn majority this time. We'll get to why that happened later on. So that's how the national polling was decided. Local polling, again, is decided on the roll of some dice. So it initially is a d6. Now, first of all, what I would do would be to toss a coin to decide whether their polling would be positive or negative. So let's do this first one. I got a heads, which is positive, and then I roll d6, 4, so that is plus 4. Fable, get plus, so heads, 6. True Neutral, get a tails, which is minus 4, so minus 4. Gunge is another tails, so that's minus 1. And then we would roll two 20-sided dice. So that's 34, 25, 15, 29. And so you can see the result has come out. The result is national polling plus local polling plus election turnout multiplied by the sum of all of these. That multiplication is just for aesthetic reasons, just to make it look like a more normal number, rather than just like this would be like 50 something votes otherwise, and that would just make the constituencies seem really small in the fiction. So this is just to aesthetically make it look bigger. So here we see this first constituency went to the Unicorn Party, so they get 1 seat with 36.49% of the vote. Then I would basically redo that for every single constituency. I would do a local polling and the election turnout, get a result, 1 seat, and then we have a running total down the side here. And as I said, there are 147 constituencies. There's a halfway point there. And so after I'd done this, like rolling plus minus for local polling, rolling the d20s for election turnout, going all the way down to 147, and there we have the result, which I have broken down at the top here. So you can see that after every constituency had its dice rolled, the dice roll is different for each one, as you can see. Let me just quickly use some mathematics to work out. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4 times 2 times 147. Yes, that's the that's 1,176 dice rolls to get an election done. So it's time consuming, but there's a reason for that, which I will get to later on. So here we see, in this first election of the year 420, the Unicorn Party got 105 seats with a majority of 31. To get a majority, you need 76, I think it is. Or was it 74? 74? Let me just check that. 147 divided by 2. So yeah, you need 74 for a straight majority, 75 to be safe. But they very safe majority of 31. So comfortable victory for the Unicorn Party there. And you can see we've got a nice little pie chart showing how it all worked out. So, having done one election, we jump forward 4 years, to year 424. And we basically do it again, but slightly differently. So, you'll notice the local polling. I've copied and pasted it over there. Let's start with the national polling, actually, because, yeah, that has also changed. Again, I tossed a coin to decide positive or negative. And so this was positive, and then I rolled a d4. So Unicorn only got plus 1 there. Fable went down, -1. So yeah, basically I just moved the national polling based on coin toss, d4, and that moved the national polling. So local polling, I take the polling from last time, toss a coin, so here, let's see, plus heads, d6, 4, so 4 plus 4, 8, 6, toss the coin, minus, roll a d6, 6, so that goes down to 0. Toss a coin, plus d6, 1, so that goes to -3. Gunge, toss a coin, minus 4, so that goes to -5. And you can possibly already see that we have a situation where the numbers rolling over from year to year is going to, if you're very lucky, if you keep getting positives every time, you're going to end up with a very safe seat. And some of these seats have ended up being really, really safe by the time we get up to the more recent elections. So there we have new local polling and new national polling. And I would do that again for every single seat. Getting new polling. This is essentially to simulate how well did the MP do in this area, how popular are they, how did their campaigning go. You get a +5 advantage, as you can possibly see, for being the incumbent. Again, to try and simulate that incumbents usually get a bit of an advantage. So then I would again roll 2 d20s for the election turnout. So that's 23. 33. That's 15. 23 again. Okay. And so there you can see that it's a little bit closer this time. The Unicorn still holding this seat. I think mostly down to that incumbent bonus there. So, but there we have a swing. The swingometer, as it were, showing you how the percentages have moved. Sometimes these move quite wildly because of the numbers being quite small, frankly. But yeah, I always find it slightly interesting just to see how these things go. So again, roll another couple of thousand dice, get some new local polling, get some new election turnout, go through the whole thing all again, having some wins for Fable, some wins for Unicorn, some wins for the True Neutral Party, some wins for the Gunge Party, etc, etc. And so this time the Unicorn Party actually increased its majority to a majority of 37 with 111 seats. The exit poll, incidentally, is made up of as you'll see, like if I take away all those, it gives an indication of who is most likely to win. So if I just put ones in all of those, it has, based on national polling plus local polling, it can take a guess at who's going to get the most votes. It's not always accurate, and sometimes the roll of the dice just goes the other way. But as the local polling gets bigger, some of those guesses are going to be a lot more accurate. So the exit polls kind of wildly off, especially in these early-ish years. But it's fun to have, and will be quite fun when we get to the election night special episode of the podcast. So here was year 424. And again, got a nice pie chart to show just the massive Unicorn majority here. So let's skip forward 4 years to the next election of year 428. Interesting thing here, a new party has arrived. The SDP, the Sorcerers and Druidic Party. I rolled a d20 for them to get their national polling. They came up with 7. And then did the toss a coin, roll d4 to get new polling for the other parties as well, and they get a percentage from that as well. This time, bit of a drop for the Unicorn Party. They lost 29 seats. So I imagine, in the fiction, this was probably a very contentious election, with the SDP potentially taking a lot of votes away from both the Fable Party and the Unicorn Party, most likely. But we are seeing a bit of a surge for the Fable Party, who gained 13 seats. Popular vote, incidentally, going massively down for the Fable Party, massively up for the SDP. So SDP taking a lot of votes from the Fable Party, interestingly enough, but presumably just not in the right areas. So once again, for each constituency, I went through giving them a new local polling. Went each one getting their new local polling by adding or taking away from the previous one. As you can see in this one already, in constituency 1, the Unicorn Party now has plus 11 to Fable's 3, etc, etc. So this is slowly becoming a safe Unicorn seat already. There are others which are becoming safe Fable seats, safe neutral seats, etc, etc. But yeah, so far we've got a safe Unicorn seat in number 1, and then again rolled another couple thousand election rolls, and we ended up with a new result, which had the Unicorn Party just hanging on with a majority of 8, with 82 seats to Fable's 44. True Neutrals on 8, Gunge 5, SDP gaining 8 seats. So the parliamentary makeup there looking, oppositions are fighting back slightly. So let's move on to the next election of the year 432. And here the result came back very close indeed, with a majority of 2 for the Unicorn Party. And you'll notice another new party has joined, the Dungeon Independence Party, or Dungip, with their national polling of 1, as it turned out when I rolled for them. So yeah, this again turned out to be quite an interesting election. Here we see constituency 1's local polling has gone up to 15 for the Unicorn Party. This is a safe seat for the Unicorn Party at this point. Gunge are kind of fighting back, but given the local and national bonus there, it's looking pretty safe for Unicorn here in constituency number 1. But the exit poll predicted a hung parliament with 70 seats for both the two major parties there. A massive swing towards Fable here, of 16 seats gaining, losing 6 for Unicorn. In fact, everyone apart from Fable lost seats in this election. Just wasn't quite enough. I think like the massive majority was still taking a long time to chip away at. But with the addition of the Dungeon Independence Party, it's becoming a little more difficult to get a big share of the vote. Interestingly enough, and this parallels to real life parliamentary democracy, the popular vote puts Unicorn with 24.5% of the vote and 100% of the power. Isn't that how it usually goes? With the SDP, Gunge and True Neutrals all around 15-ish, but with True Neutrals the only ones getting a significant number of seats, although that's only 5. But yeah, as you can see, the swing is starting to turn away from Unicorn at this point. So let's move on to year 437, where we saw a massive swing towards the Fable Party in the national polling, where they went up to 16 to Unicorn's 10. And in this case, Fable ended up winning a 100 seats, gaining a majority of 26. That is a gain of 40 seats and a loss of 40 seats for the Unicorn Party. The only seats that seem to change hands there. This was a massive victory for Fable, obviously. And again, local polling, national polling, this is just completely a safe Unicorn seat at this point. Let's have a look at another one that's more of a safe Fable, just for comparison's sake. Yeah, here we've got a very safe Fable seat with the plus 14 to Unicorn's minus 6. What else have we got? Again, plus 18. Some of them are a bit more marginal. This one's still kind of close. The good thing about this is that you can pinpoint marginal seats versus safe seats. So yeah, again, rolling a couple thousand dice, got a new result. Exit poll was a bit off this time, but it happens. The exit poll, interestingly enough, suggesting a massive swing to the True Neutrals didn't really happen that time. And again, it's just the roll of the dice. Sometimes the dice just don't roll out in your favour. And here we have a very different look at the Parliament, with just a gigantic chunk for the Fable Party there. So let's move on again to year 442. Fable holding on to a majority, not quite as big as before, but as you can see, they've gone up to 18 in the national polling to Unicorn's 12, going up slightly. The smaller parties gained a couple of seats here. Unicorn crawled back a couple, but again, like you can see, this seat swinging majorly towards Unicorn with a bit of a Gunge increase. Although here, interestingly, you can see here, just on the swing of the dice, Fable won this seat despite it being a very comfortable Unicorn leaning seat. There was a gain for the Fable Party here. Just happened to roll 36 to Unicorn's 21, and with the addition of their bonuses, it's real close. It's real close though. It's like less than a percentage point in it, and yeah, the Fable Party just about winning there. And again, same goes for every constituency all the way down. And again, we're starting to see the swing. The exit poll, again, the exit poll always puts True Neutrals at having gains that they just don't get, and it comes out Fable this time again. And another new result, and I'll just mention briefly, if it happens, and it's rare that it happens, but it does happen occasionally, that after the rolling a lot, two parties end up with the same result. I either will toss a coin or will favour the incumbent. So, just because, like I say, in real life, incumbents always get these subtle advantages. But here we see, like, the true neutral parties had a massive surge here. They gained 20 seats. But Fable holding on to their majority, slim majority. Next cycle, here is where things got super interesting. We had our first hung parliament. We had the unicorns gaining 69 seats, nice, but not nice enough. They are 5 short of a majority. Fable on 60, 14 short of a majority, and etc. etc. So, in terms of the story, I had the Unicorn Party go into coalition with the True Neutral parties and create a coalition government. Not unlike what happened in real life here in the UK. So again, local. This is getting boring now, I'm sure, for some of you. Local polling, updated from previous time. Same with national polling, and then rolling several thousand dice to get a new result. With it coming out as a hung parliament. And here's what the parliamentary seats looked like in the end. So moving on to the year 456, the unicorns just scraping majority of 2 here, with their plus 19 to Fable's 13, etc. etc. Here's where things again have started to get kind of interesting, just on the way the dice have rolled. So that despite how far ahead in the national bonus the Unicorn are, because of some of the number of local bonuses that are leaning towards Fable, it does mean that Fable have a bit of an advantage, and could potentially win with only the flipping of a couple of seats in their favour. So yeah, this is the most recent election, previous to when the campaign trail starts. This is the current state of Parliament, with the majority of 2. I think it was a majority of 4, but because the Speaker of the House has to be neutral, and because of the by-election that you saw in episode 1, the majority is down to 2. So everything is to play for. Let's quickly have a look. This is what Parliament looks like. You can see it's very close between the opposition parties and the government at the moment. So let's have a look at year 461, which is the year of the campaign trail story that we will be experiencing. As you can see, Unicorn have plus 17, Fable plus 14, True Neutral 6, Gunge and SDP both on 2, Dungip on 1. This is quite a big advantage for the Unicorn Party, but as you can see, thanks to some of the local advantages, Fable have gained some pretty substantial local advantages, and so their popular vote is predicted to be 35%. So in spite of the Unicorn having a massive national advantage, Fable seem to have quite a lot of local advantages. What this basically means is the places that are safe Fable seats are safe by quite a margin, while the safe Unicorn seats are safe by not quite big as a margin. This is what can swing an election. So here we have a prediction of 60 to 62, really close. 20 for True Neutrals, 5 for Gunge, 2 for SDP, and don't get on 0. You'll notice that the total here says 149. This is because there will be some places where it is too close to call. Let's find one of those. Here we go. this is a close call between Gunge and Unicorn. Gunge have been fighting the city of Farseer for a long time, and they've been going up and up and up from year to year, and are now essentially level pegging with the Unicorn party. So well done there. So as you can see, just because of the way the formula works, that's given both the seat to Unicorn and to Gunge. As a result, the exit poll can be out by a couple either way. And here's Barrow Furnace and the by-election as it was run, and the victory for Gorlak the Betrayer. Hooray! Everyone loves Gorlak. As you can see, I've now added the names of some of the constituencies, and I put a little asterisk next to whoever the incumbent is. So yeah, this is the election that will be fought. I have chosen 5 marginal seats, including Barrow Furnace, which we fought in the first episode, and there'll be 4 more throughout the course of the campaign, as well as chances to move the national polling bonus. And if they can do enough, they could swing the election, or it could end in a hung parliament, and we would have to go through a few more episodes, probably of negotiation with the smaller parties to see if we can put a government together, or the Unicorn Party could win a majority, and it could all have been a big disappointment. Anyone who's worked in politics knows that that's always a possibility, that you can fight really hard, you can do really well, you can really push as hard as you can and still lose. It happens. Election night is going to be an interesting episode for the campaign trail. It will be formatted differently. We're not entirely sure what we're going to do for it. I have several plans involving possibly a live stream video, a lot of guests and pundits in inverted commas talking about the polling and the exit polling, etc., etc. I have an election map that will be changing in real time, hopefully. But we've got a long way to go before we get to the general election. Most of the time it's going to be just the day-by-day storylines, week-by-week storylines that we're dealing with our heroes for the Fable Party, going from constituency to constituency. As I say, we're only going to 5 during this series. We're not going to go to every single one and do a little adventure. That would take absolutely ages and be really, really draining on my creativity, I imagine. But yeah, when election day comes, I will roll the local polling for each constituency and see how it turns out, and see if we can get an exit poll that is encouraging or an exit poll that is not so encouraging. So yeah, I hope that explained it. If you've got any questions or comments or ideas as how you could make a better election simulator, I guess, I'm completely open to suggestions. I'll talk about a couple of the ideas I rejected early on. I initially had not only national polling and local polling, I also had a regional polling to try and reflect things like, in England, for example, like areas of the north will tend to vote Labour, while areas of the south will tend to vote Conservative. But it was just proving an extra complication that was adding time and making things even more difficult to work out how to create a playable game out of it. So I tried to strip it back to be kind of simple as much as possible. But if you have a way of doing it, I am completely happy to see other people's ideas for election simulators using Dungeons and Dragons dice. But yeah, I hope you found that interesting, and I hope you look forward to joining us on the adventure as we try and swing the polls in some of these marginal constituencies. See you later.